This week at Dreamworld, very exciting news on Dreamworld's proposed land development, reading your comments and your thoughts on upcoming additions to the park, and a surprise overhaul and new attraction in the animal area. Hello everyone, welcome back to the YumYum Report, bringing you bite-sized updates from Australian theme parks, as well as occasional updates from theme parks around the world. Before we start, I'd like to give a special thanks to Team YumYum for supporting my content. Thank you so much. There's been a proposed land development at Dreamworld for some time now. They've been looking at building up the infrastructure surrounding the park and developing the land to expand the park's space from around 55 hectares to about 75 hectares. They would use the space to put in residential buildings, nature-based tourist park, a resort and hotel, as well as a shopping, dining and entertainment precinct. And this development has been sort of in development hell, so to speak, for some time now. It's sort of been tied up with the local council, who have been at an even 50-50 split, unable to meet a consensus. Dreamworld proposed to fast-track it, take it beyond the local council into the planning minister to speed the process along and get it past this awkward hurdle and hopefully start the actual development taking place. There's been some promising news over the last week. The planning minister visited the park, had a little tour, and was pretty impressed. It sounds like he's open to the idea of it, and essentially he's giving until the end of September to make his decision. So we should find out very soon if this is actually going to happen. So what does this all mean for Dreamworld and the Gold Coast as a whole? As I touched upon briefly, this would expand the space surrounding Dreamworld and open up the opportunities for development. There's all kinds of stuff they could do and use the space for. And I think the main things that I'm interested in are the shopping, dining and entertainment precinct and the resort and hotel area. I've said it a billion times, but I think there's a real need for an additional hotel or resort here on the Gold Coast at one of the theme parks. And there has been a kind of arms race between Movie World and Dreamworld, who have both got proposed developments for accommodation and things. I feel like whoever gets there first will get more of the benefits. And I also think a hotel at either of those parks would benefit each other very well. If you look at parks overseas like Disney and Universal and other parks, many of them have infrastructure surrounding the parks with like Disney Village or Universal City Walk, where you've got dining and shopping. And I think the idea of that is that it encourages people to spend more time in and around the park, because if you're owning a theme park, you want people to spend money in the property that you own, and the parks do have to close at some point during the day, so it's good to have a lot of stuff directly outside of the park that guests will spend money on and experience, such as accommodation and dining and shopping. So I think it would be really cool for Dreamworld to have something like this outside the park. I also think it would be a good opportunity to make the area more accessible, sort of open it up to public transport and make it more of a conducive space, because I found that the Gold Coast is kind of spread out across a fairly large area of land. You have to drive a long way to get to different places, and it's not the most walkable city in the world. So I feel like having an area surrounding these parks where you really can walk around and spend time in and enjoy things would be really neat. What do you think of the proposed development and the potential fast tracking of it? Are you excited? Are you for it or are you against it? What kind of changes would you like to see, or additions to this new space if it does go through? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you're enjoying this video, please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. And if you're interested in theme park content, make sure to check out my socials, where I post lots more cool stuff. This week, Dreamworld surprised us by rebranding the whole animal area from the Dreamworld Corroboree to Wild, a new collaboration with Australian Geographic. It seems like this is still an ongoing process. They're kind of upgrading and taking out some of the old stuff and replacing it with newer things. One example is Goldie the eagle's new enclosure, which is finally open, and Goldie's settling in really well. She seems very happy. There's lots more room here, and there's a few little fun photo opportunities and interactive elements to do. But the big new surprise in this area is the new attraction. I think they've offered the same experience in Sydney, and it's sort of an immersive cinematic experience with floor-to-ceiling projections and screens and things. It's kind of like a 360-degree experience. I think it's a great way to kind of showcase all the animals and nature that makes Australia unique. Although there isn't too much space inside the building, it was quite impressive and very atmospheric. I probably could have sat in there for quite a while. I definitely feel like it could be a little bit darker. The screens I found were a little bit dim. I feel like if they turned the lights down a little bit, it would really amplify the experience. It was also a little bit stuffy in there. I'm not sure if they have air conditioning, but that would be a welcome addition as well. Overall, I'm really pleased to see this new addition to the park. It's definitely a great use of space, and I'm very happy that they're using the theatre I wasn't expecting it at all, so it's a really nice surprise. And it's interesting what some new branding can do to the area. It definitely feels like some ongoing progress happening in the animal area. I feel like we can expect to see some new additions, so I'll make sure to highlight any changes on my weekly visits. In last week's episode of the YumYum Report, I asked for your comments and your thoughts, and I received so many comments. I will be splitting this into 2 parts. I'll be reading comments from Instagram and YouTube community, and in the next video I'll read the comments from the YouTube video itself. Randall says, honestly, once the train's done, they need that log ride back, and then they will become the best theme park in Australia. The one I'm actually worried and very upset with is Movie World. Yes, a log ride would really complete the lineup at the park. I think it's definitely something they're missing, a water-based attraction, which is understandable after what happened with Thunder River Rapids, but I do feel like they're in a position now to have something like that in the park again. There's a few different options they could choose from. They could have more of a classic style log flume attraction like they did with the original log flume, or they could do something kind of new and innovative like one of those splashdown coaster water ride hybrids. That could be kind of fun. There's also the Mission Bermude at Futuroscope in France, which looks like a really crazy new attraction. It looks like a lot of fun and it's very unique. I personally would love more of a traditional style flume based attraction, something like Splash Mountain. Ejector Bear Time says, while the obvious choice would be a new thrill coaster, I think there needs to still be a lot of work on park cohesion. We need a new themed land to tie the left side of the park together. Steel Taipan, Giant Drop, Old Rocky Hollow footprint, etc. The Sky Voyager facade sticks out like a sore thumb among the Victorian architecture of Main Street too. I know it's wishful thinking, but ideally, having that returned back to the old Dreamworld cinema facade would be ideal. But understand that's probably not a high priority for Dreamworld now. I agree with all your points. I definitely feel like that side of the park with Steel Taipan, Giant Drop, etc. it does feel a little bit clunky. I'm not really sure what the theme is, if it's supposed to be one overarching theme or if it's more like individual rides. I think they need something to tie it together thematically, like you're saying. I'm not really sure what exactly. From my perception, it kind of seems like vaguely outback, like Australian industrial sort of theming. I don't really know. I'm not familiar too much with Australia. Despite living here, I'm a Kiwi imposter, so I don't really know. I definitely think the old Rocky Hollow area could be developed a little bit more. On Dane's Theme Park Life, the podcast, when he spoke with Earth Story, who were in charge of the story and thematic for Rivertown, they had a couple of other ideas, one of which was like a critter country type thing, and they also had like a steampunk sort of idea. Both of those I think could be really cool and would be a great choice for a new precinct. I also agree with what you're saying about Sky Voyager. The facade definitely does stick out. It feels very out of place among the classical architecture of Main Street, and I would really love it if they did take it back to the original look. As a big cinema lover, that would make me very happy. Josh Is It says, I feel like a medieval land would really suit the park now. Having a giant castle with animatronic guards or something like that would be cool. The restaurant and stores could have some really cool theming too. I also think the main ride for the land should be part coaster, part dark ride. They just have the perfect opportunity with Movie World's laziness to absolutely dominate the Australian theme park industry. I find it so interesting the shift in perception amongst the theme parks here in Australia. For a while, Dreamworld was kind of looked down upon, and even I looked down upon it for a while. I was not a huge fan of it, had a weird vibe, but over the last few years they've really turned it around. The new management team has done an amazing job and brought it not only up to standard, but pushed the boundaries of what I think the parks here should be aspiring to. They're really setting the standard now, and the other parks are being left behind in their trail of glory. It's a very dramatic way of describing it. A medieval land, that would be so cool. I visited Cryal Castle earlier this year down in Ballarat, which is a very strange place, but I was a huge fan of the medieval castle theme, and having a proper land like that at a theme park would be really cool. I love your idea about a coaster that's part dark ride, part coaster. I think that could definitely kind of scratch the itch that we're missing here in Australia for a really high quality dark ride. I feel like Australians kind of gravitate towards the thrills a little bit more, rather than dark rides as such, so I think having something like that could kind of open the palette a little bit more to more dark rides. Stephen Olsen says, finish Rivertown off by retheming motor coaster and bringing back the riverboat. Something on the island, such as a dark ride, would be great. A family dark ride, Kenny and Belinda themed, in the old Tower of Terror ride building would be an excellent addition. Eventually a new log ride, Rocky Hollow log rides again, with animatronics and significant indoor sections would be brilliant. Definitely agree with you there. I feel like motor coaster is like this unwanted guest in Rivertown. It's technically within Rivertown. It's once you pass the entrance sign, it does stick out like a sore thumb. They could definitely retheme it. I think the biggest issue with Motor Coaster is definitely the ride vehicles. I feel like if they upgraded those, made them a bit more comfortable, maybe gave the ride a new theme that ties into Rivertown with, you know, that old school motorbike with the sidecar and Indiana Jones style, I think that would work perfectly. I don't think they have to completely demolish it or anything. A family dark ride is also a great idea. I feel like the Tower of Terror ride building is a great space for something like that. It does actually take up quite a large section of land within the park. I feel like a Kenyon Belinda themed ride is probably the best bet because it's basically within Kenyon Belinda's Dreamland. And yes, the log flume ride is a very popular idea. I love the idea of something with more indoor sections and animatronics and things. When I went to Tokyo Disneyland last year, I went on Splash Mountain for the first time and I was speechless. I was blown away. It was an incredible ride and I would love something like that here. Christian Fan 74 says, a B&M flawless coaster, a newer version of Wipeout, a retheme of Dreamland to Kidland with 10 new attractions themed to Nickelodeon, DreamWorks and ABC Kids movies and shows, a wooden coaster called Thunderhawk Express, a new hotel called Dreamworld Grand Hotel, and a replacement of Blue Lagoon to a new area named Wildback Lagoon, with 7 attractions, including a roller coaster, flight rides, and a log flume ride. Wow, that's a lot of ideas. A lot of good ideas as well. Very ambitious. I think it's hard to choose one of those ideas to highlight because there's so many there. I would need like an entire episode to talk about all your ideas, but I like the one about the Dreamworld Grand Hotel specifically. I think that's a really cool idea. Lincoln Elijah says a new water ride at Rivertown that fits in with a touch of jungle themed. I feel like a water ride is a really great opportunity in Rivertown because you've got the Mississippi River, which is a really unique part of the area, and I think they could do a lot of things there. A lot of people have spoken in the past about adding the paddle steamer back, which I would be a huge fan of. I love experiencing the Mark Twain riverboat last year when I visited Tokyo Disneyland, and I'd love something nice and relaxing like that here on the river. JGS says, I think a Vekoma Tilt coaster will be unique, and if the layout is good, might beat DC Rivals. Ooh, Vekoma Tilt coaster would be very iconic and something to get people's attention. It would definitely get people speaking. I'm personally terrified of those things. I don't think I would go on that. Yeah, I'm not very brave, but I could see it being a big selling point for the thrill-seeking crowd. The Real Generic Smile says, the park is already really good and world-class and there's more coming, but Dreamworld could really use a new thrill ride, or maybe a bigger upgrade to Ocean Parade. Because to me, some areas, like around the King Claw, look really good and fit well, but some areas like around the arcade feel out of place and almost a mix between Kids area and Ocean Parade, as there are still parts of the old DreamWorks area still there. But what I would really love is a new thrill ride, as after riding Steel Taipan so much, it's just not as scary, even on the cool spinning seats. Same with the Giant Drop, it's fun but not as scary as I remember. They need some big new thrill rides, maybe a water ride, but the park is still really good as it is. It does seem like there's a lot of demand for a new thrill-based attraction at the park, and as someone who's not a thrill ride enthusiast, it's hard for me to say what I think would be the best choice. I do really love coasters. I'm not a coaster enthusiast. As such, I'm a theme park enthusiast. Some of the new coasters I rode recently that stuck out to me would have been Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios Osaka, which is B&M, and it's got some crazy airtime. It's very unique and fun. I feel like something like that would be really nice at the park. I'm not sure what area they could put it in or what it would be themed to, but I think that would be a cool option. If anyone has any other ideas for like thrill coasters, can you educate me down below where the demand is, what people want? Yeah, enlighten me, turn me to the thrill-seeking side. Nathan says a new water ride surely is what's next. With the space and technology they have now, not everyone wants to go to a water park to cool off. I definitely agree with you there. I'm not a huge water park fan myself. I haven't actually been to the parks because it doesn't appeal to me. I think a water-based attraction would be such a fantastic option. Jordan Not a Whale says, I would like to see a new thrill coaster, water ride or dark ride, as the park is lacking in those departments. I would also like to see a new big show like the stunt show at Movie World, but better obviously, as the park has been lacking in that department as well ever since they got rid of the Tiger Show. Ha ha ha. Dreamworld definitely does need a new show to really complete the picture. I think everything's working really well, but I feel like they're not quite reaching their potential in terms of entertainment like that. Not trash talking the performers or anything at the park. I think they're all great at what they do, but I don't feel like they have the infrastructure or facilities for a big show at the stage, and I feel like they definitely need something like that. I don't know what it could be. In Las Vegas they have the dome with the new Wizard of Oz show, which looks kind of cool, but that's probably out of the picture, a little bit too big. Travelog 9019 says thrill coaster or high capacity dark family coaster to rival Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. Both of those are really good ideas. There's a lot of demand clearly for a thrill coaster. A high capacity dark family coaster. I feel like Jungle Rush is kind of what that is for Dreamworld at this stage. It definitely feels like a rival to Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. I'm not sure how good the capacity is. I know that the operations are fantastic and they can run two trains, but you know, something like a Wild Mouse coaster would be really cool. Just make a spinning Wild Mouse. That's unique. Oz Thrill says, looks like you're on the right track. Log Flume and Thrill Coaster. Yeah, my picture was very shoddy and thrown together, but just chuck in Stardust Racers and Splash Mountain right next to each other and I'll be a very happy man. Glaber806 says an immersive themed dark ride would be cool. Definitely a popular opinion. Lots of people seem to be on the same wavelength with this. There's so many options you could choose for an attraction like that, and I'm not really sure what the best one would be. I feel like they need to go big or go home, basically. They need something that really knocks it out of the park and fully taps into the potential of a dark ride on a world-class level. Carla and Z75 says, definitely a dark water ride with immersive theming, with a drop at the end for a little thrill action, or a boat ride near Rivertown with theming related to Rivertown to tie all the areas together. The one thing that really gets me excited is definitely a combination of a water ride and a dark ride, I think. Those are always the ones I really enjoy when I visit a Disney park. Splash Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Tangled ride, Frozen ride, things like that are excellent. Sam Hall 99 says, expansion to Rivertown, Phase 2 would be awesome. I would love to see a Phase 2 of Rivertown. I'm a huge fan of the theme, but I do feel like there's some aspects of the precincts that are not quite as developed as I would hope. I think right now it's like a solid 8 out of 10, and if they really integrated the storyline into the area with like a show or a dark ride or meet and greet characters and things to really kind of thematically tie it all together, I think that would be great. So an expansion would be awesome, because Earth Story, who came up with the concept and story for the area, they went really in depth with it. If you listen to Dana's Theme Park Life, the podcast, you can hear all about it, and they have so much backstory and lore for the area that you don't necessarily see, but they've got the material there to really do even more attractions. Hugo Lund 9 says RMC where Motor Coaster is going onto the island. That would be so cool if there was a coaster that interacted with the island. I could definitely imagine something weaving and winding through the trees and helixes going over the river. Daniel Mitchell 9080 says Giga Coaster running down the left hand side of the park. A Giga Coaster in Australia would be very impressive. I'm not sure if I'm brave enough to ride something that big, but I'm sure it would be very, very popular. Red Reborn says it bears repeating, a dark ride, a top quality dark ride. Very good pun there, Red Reborn. Kenny and Belinda themed dark ride would be really awesome. They're such iconic characters. I feel like they've got so much potential. They're so goofy and chaotic, and I'd love to see them have like a storyline or something in one of the rides. Thank you so much to everyone for leaving your comments and thoughts. It was a lot of fun to hear your ideas, and I'm sorry to anyone's comments who I didn't read. Like I said, I will be splitting this into 2 parts. I'll be reading out all the comments from the YouTube video itself in the next episode of the YumYum Report, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. And before we finish, I'd like to wrap things up by giving a very special thank you to the members and sponsors of Team YumYum for supporting my content. Thank you so much everyone for your very kind and generous support. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos enough to support the channel in this way, and it helps me cover a lot of the costs associated with running the channel as well, which is a huge help, so I really, really appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough. A big thank you to the members: Randall, Maloney's Coasters, Kai on the Internet, Oogie Boogie, Theme Park Ogre, Jordan Casey, Johnny Boy 175, The Downy Cat, Carrie Jekin, Movies Like Everyone, and Mika. Thank you very much. And a very special thank you to the Team YumYum sponsors: Koala75, Audrey Allen, Senpai's JP Blue Dog, Senpai's JP Red Dog, Wayne Hewitt, Lee Donald, SW Stevie 1, The Kez, and Mr. WG. Thank you so much again everyone for your very kind and generous support, and for anyone who would like to become a member or a sponsor of Team YumYum, you're more than welcome to do so. This will give you access to new videos early. You'll also get a special shout out and thanks at the end of my videos, some emojis to use in the comments, a sticker next to your username, and last but not least, you'll also get a custom illustrated character hand-drawn by me to suit your very needs and requirements. And as an additional way to support the channel, I also have the Team YumYum sponsorship available, which will give you access to all the perks of the membership, but as an additional perk, I will also animate your character doing a little dance which will appear on screen, which will be super fun, super cool, and super cute. But if you're not in a position to support the channel in this way, you're more than welcome to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.